Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. I've just begun my journey into the doors, and we last left off with Jim Morrison experiencing what I think is best described as the wild rumpus in the back of a bus. What could possibly come next? Los Angeles. Let's get to it. Okay, I immediately feel like I'm tripping. Oh, that was cool. Y'all, if you have not got a good set of headphones on right now, get ye a good set of headphones. We do have recommendations through Sweetwater. You can find some there if you are like, I gotta go buy a pair. Okay, there's lots of different price tiers and whatever. But this is so fun inside of here right now. I love the way that they've mixed this. It's like there's so much sound candy that's happening. Some people have eye candy. This is ear candy for me, right? Sound candy, ear candy. Yum, yum, yum is what my ears are saying as each of these sounds are entering. I love it. Let's go back to the beginning and let's just talk a little bit about it as it's going by. Right. So disturbed in that side, and then we get it almost sounds like banging on the piano strings inside. And it also went like this. And now we've got our bass here. And then this it does a whole arc over the head there. It's like a wild playground in my headphones. And so clear. This is beautifully produced. I love the balance on the sides there as well. Wow. Those have two different grooves that were so complimentary.
Well, I dig on it down about an hour ago. Took a look around, they went with a wind blow. With a little girl in a Hollywood bungalow. Are you a lucky little lady in the city of light? Or did you know the lost angel? City at night. City at night.
This is just so fascinating to me still. For years when people talked about Jim Morrison, I didn't know what the reference was, but it was always associated with something that was really low, often kind of gritty, maybe a little bit wild, right? I thought for the longest time that Jim Morrison was probably this older bluesy dude. And turns out he died at 27. When I hear this voice, it does not sound to me like somebody who's 25. Gosh, how old? In his 20s. It does not sound like an in his 20s kind of voice. There's so much depth in the sound. I it just it sounds like an older man. Also sounds like a rounder older man. It's got so much just meat in the sound.
Well, I dig on it down about an hour ago. Took a look around, they went with a wind blow.
Also sounds like someone from St. Louis, not Los Angeles.
With a little girl in a Hollywood bungalow. Are you a lucky little lady in the city of light? Or did you know the lost angel? City at night. City at night. City at night. City at night. Whoa! Oh!
Yeah, there's some really awesome grit that's in the sound there. It does feel it has a wildness to it already. But I'm thinking to myself, I think he met, gosh, one of the other band members on Venice Beach, was just kind of living a nomadic lifestyle, right? It was Ray Manzarek, Jim Morrison and Ray Manzarek met when Jim was in Venice Beach. Like, where does he get this kind of style from? Then again, we're going back to like much, much earlier LA. When I think of Venice Beach, I think of Venice Beach like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So different from Venice Beach in the 60s, right? Wildly different places. I'm fascinated by the different styling that's been brought in here. This feels uh has got a lot of blues and jazz influence in it, but then the drive of rock and roll. It's a fantastic combination of sounds. All right, go back a little and we'll keep going.
City of night, city of night, city of night. Woo! Oh!
So even though we have a guitar that took off really on the right side, there was this counter that was happening in the left side as well. And a lot of the music here feels almost like a train just chugging along. There's a lot of things about driving as well in the lyrics. But I think it's so interesting. It almost feels like your brain went one direction, but half of it was left behind and it went the other direction. But really, the body keeps going this way. It's like you're starting to split off into all kinds of different voices here.
LA woman, LA woman, LA woman, Sunday afternoon. LA woman, Sunday afternoon. LA woman, Sunday afternoon. Drive through your suburbs into your blues. Into your blues, yeah. Into your blues, blues, blues. Into your blues. Oh, yeah.
It almost sounds like it goes up high enough that the voice just starts to like fall apart. The weaves start to come undone. I I keep thinking like what is his vocal tract shaped like to create these sounds and how is he focusing his sound because he does have quite a bit of ring on the sound. I would describe the sound overall as being a lot more deep and gravelly. I think some of the descriptions y'all gave me in the past totally on point. Honestly, it's just a lot more deep and rich in color than I would have expected still. There is a certain richness that is hard to fathom in his voice. With those kinds of voices, often we're thinking about sometimes a longer tube that can enhance some of those deep qualities, or just naturally people who have deeper, lower sitting voices, they often have slightly longer vocal folds or vocal cords that can lend themselves to those lower pitches. But I think he probably has quite a bit of space in the back here. Hmm. Not just the soft palate going up, but I think about pharyngeal space and just space also between where he's creating the sound and the top of the tube, or even the exiting of the sound in the mouth. And with all of that, I think he must have a decent tongue arch that's helping focus, or there's something in his mouth that helps it get this focus and this ring on the sound as well. That all of these things just are contributing to richness that we're hearing. And then, of course, we got the gravel in there too. Don't know where that's coming from, but it's definitely part of his signature sound.
Into your blues. Into your blues, yeah. Into your
I find myself trying to like, what if I did this with this? Or would I do this and this? It's fun.
Into your blues, yeah. Into your blues, blues, blues. Into your blues. Oh, yeah.
honky tonk piano. Are they messing with the reverb as that goes on? Is that what's happening?
Into your blues, yeah. Into your blues, blues, blues. Into your blues. Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I really feel like I'm tripping here, you guys. Let me know if you hear that too. Like we have the piano that's mostly focused on the right side, but as it's gone on, it seems like every now and then I'm getting just a little bit more of the reverb into the left. I don't know if they're increasing the space of the verb, the size of the room, so we're starting to get a bleed over to the side, or if they actually took the spatialization or the imagery of the sound and maybe shifted it a little bit more this way. It I it yeah, I feel like I'm tripping. It's crazy that there's like just a slight hint of a change in how the sound was positioned. Like, oh, you can hear it right there. There's a little more in the left side. That's whoa.
I see your hair is burning. Hills are filled with fire. If they say I never loved you, you know they are a liar. Driving down your freeway.
Uh, is this like one of the pioneering songs for progressive rock? They're definitely early in that movement. I didn't see much mention in my prep documents about the progressive rock side, like just basically mixing of different elements. But the way that the structure of the song is set up, where it meanders a whole bunch. I saw psychedelic mentioned in there, and that also works. But it's not just. It doesn't feel like I'm just taking a trip for trip's sake. It feels like there's some serious planning that went into this. And so I'm wondering where is the origination of progressive rock? I think Jethro Tull has got some incredible progressive folk and falls into this as well. But let me know. Like, this would be a really interesting thing, I think, to discuss in comments or in the live premiere chat. I'd be very curious, where did that start taking off? I think about the overall structure of songs in progressive music, and they actually feel more similar in a lot of ways to classical songs, classical arias. Like when you look at an aria by Puccini, it's going to have a lot more in common with progressive music than a contemporary pop song today. So I'm really curious, where does it go back to?
They are a liar. Driving down your freeway. Midnight
I like the
alleys
rhythm
roam.
here.
Cops in cars, the topless bars. Never saw a woman so alone, so alone, so alone, so alone. Motel money, glitter madness.
I think that's such a fascinating observation. I read it in the lyrics ahead of time, but here I like the way it's set. So alone, talking about this LA woman, right? I think LA is, gosh, such an incredible city. It's one of my favorite cities. I lived there for quite a while. Thought that was going to be my long-term home base, okay? Really thought it was going to be the long-term home base. Sang with the opera for a while. Was involved in lots of different music scenes around the area. It's an incredible city, and there's so many different undercurrents in it. A lot of driving in it. So all of the driving feeling that's happening here, I'm like, yep, that feels like LA. You spend a lot more time in your car in LA than most places on the planet. But I think this one thing, so alone, so alone, so alone, is particularly important because LA is the center of the entertainment industry. That's one of the defining qualities of it. It's one of the things that I think attracts me to LA. There's so many creatives there, whether they're in acting or in different kinds of media or envisioning these films or even video games. LA has so many creative entrepreneurs, and I love that about it. But when you have especially a lot of actors, I think there's a lot of people that feel that they're continually putting a face on, that there's a certain way they need to look. I've heard plenty of jokes about women going to LA and developing all kinds of eating disorders, right? Uh, yuck. I do not like the pressure that can put on women and the unhealthy choices that can be made. But I think that the idea of this face and living up to the standard of, even if you're not in the acting industry, all of the looks around you, I think it can make a person feel very alone. And despite being in a huge city, I think that they captured this idea of this LA woman who is some sort of, gosh, icon for sure, that even though she's maybe the center of attention here, she feels really alone. It was set extremely well.
So alone, so alone, so alone.
Lots of slides.
Motel money, better madness. A chain of moved from glad to sadness.
Ooh. Wait. I need to go back.
A chain of moved from glad to sadness.
Nice. So let's change the mood from glad to sadness. Happens essentially in a response, it sounds like, to Motel Money, Murder Madness. I think sometimes they're playing with words for fun of it, but it sounds like we're switching to maybe the violence a little bit more and focusing that on that in LA. The groove shift is amazing here. It's in the same tempo, but it feels slower because of the way that they're structuring the beats.
A chain of moved from glad to sadness.
Oh, so cool. And the tone is so much more mellow in the instruments as well.
Mr. Mojo rising. Mr. Mojo rising. Mr. Mojo rising. Mr. Mojo rising. Got to keep on rising.
All right, I feel where this is going, and I think we need to go back again to talk about how this is working so well. Like, how is this structured? Let's go back. So right here, you essentially have what feels like, once you get to the slow part, it'll feel like it was double time, right?
A chain of moved from glad to sadness.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, So the same subdivision it can be held consistent. So that's why I say same tempo. Although we could also just say this is exactly half tempo here. Uh, it's keeping that like a ratio of the beats that is making it feel congruous essentially at this point. So we still have an underlying beat that is progressing on. They've kept it essentially steady while reducing the number of beats by 2. And then the thing that shocked me was that after this, like languishing for the instruments for a little bit, when we get to this Mr. Mojo part, we actually start messing with the beat in a different way instead of having it and having like a perfect mathematical ratio. We're slowly speeding up and building it. So it was almost like they halved the time so that they had room to speed up. I'll go back to this for a moment, go back to the slow part, and then we'll even skip ahead.
Motel money, better madness.
Boom, boom, right? And then we skip ahead a little bit.
Mr. Mojo.
A little back here. So we still this is that same tempo. And then right here we start. It even stretched a tiny bit slower so that it could move faster.
Mojo rising. Mr. Mojo rising. Mr. Mojo rising. Got to keep on rising. Mr. Mojo rising. Mr. Mojo rising. Mojo rising. Got the mojo rising. Mr. Mojo rising.
So it's like calling rather than saying he's doing that.
Riding, riding, on riding, riding,
It is so wildly different. There's almost like a calling kind of clean singing he's using. And then when he gets to this a moment where it almost sounds like he's fraying his vocal folds. Those are two opposite ends of what I would expect the pharyngeal space, meaning the space like above the vocal folds, the space that's in this area. Okay, we're just gonna say this area. The pharyngeal space is doing wildly different things. It's a big, big change in position. Like that's that calling.
got to keep on riding.
Starts to get that little grit in there.
Riding, riding,
Way less space in the band.
riding, riding. I got to riding, riding. Hey, riding, riding. I got whoa, yeah, riding. Oh, yeah. Well, you got it down about an hour ago. Took a look around, they went with a wind blow. With a little girl in a hot.
I like the way we've essentially come full circle here, coming back to the opening statement of about just got into town about an hour ago. And I think we've also, I want to actually check this. It feels like we've picked up the sort of original tempo. Let's see. Yeah,
Well, you got it down about an hour ago.
yeah. For guys that don't have a click track, that's pretty dang specific. It's not like you can just say, "Oh yeah, that's going to be the exact beats per minute." When you're playing, your heartbeat even varies. So a lot of times there's just like subtle variations in the tempo. That was solid.
Well, you got it down about an hour ago. Took a look around, they went with a wind blow. With a little girl in a Hollywood bungalow.
I get some Peter Steele vibes.
Are you a lucky little lady in the city of light? Or does
He does sound like he has a really wide range. Uh, Definitely, I think baritone, if I were to give him a classical voice type, I'd say baritone. Wide range, but it's interesting to me that when he goes up high, it almost always is gonna have that grit or distortion on the edge. I don't really hear much clean falsetto singing. Although I did hear one moment where he almost had like a little clean screech. It was quite surprising. Let's keep going. Very lazy enunciation. Ada? Huh. This is fascinating, and I think it would make fantastic driving music. I am continuing to really enjoy this journey into the doors. And if you have any particular songs you'd like to recommend, please put those in the comments below. And I'm going to toss up a playlist over here of other music I think is great to drive to. May you fall more in love with music every day.